Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at the representatives of Universe 7 versus the legendary Goku event GT edition. So obviously this is a little bit of, it's a little bit late I guess, but I mean these take quite a while and I don't really quite enjoy taking on the legendary Goku event. It just feels like, obviously your primary goals are to have teams based on stackers, etc, etc. But we'll talk about the team build and we'll talk about what we can utilize and what you can utilize to take on the event. So in terms of reps of Universe 7, there's a couple leads that you can kind of choose. So if you look at reps of Universe 7, you have the Goku and Frieza unit, obviously with their Easy A. You have the AGL True Ultra Instinct Goku, you have the Int Android 17, and you have the Int Super Saiyan God Evolved Vegeta. In terms of these leads, I would probably say Super Saiyan God Evolved Vegeta is the best choice. But I would also say that Android 17 is probably also a very, very good choice. It's just going to depend on whether you have either of them. Me personally, I think Android 17 is a really nice choice, but also Vegeta is more than fine as well. Vegeta for me does a lot of damage, and also he has a very good amount of damage reduction, especially if you can get a rainbow friend like I managed to. It does help quite a bit. Then the Goku and Frieza, who are the lead that I am using, they're a pretty decent lead overall, but for the most part their damage does start to slowly fall off, because obviously later on throughout all of these legendary events, all these long form events, obviously units cannot have attack lowered, they cannot have defense lowered, they can't be sealed, they can't be stunned, so they do tend to drop off. Not to say that their damage gets terrible, it still remains very, very decent, but it is definitely apparent that they do tend to fall off a little bit more than the other ones. So if we're going to talk about the team, let's talk about the team. So in terms of build, I've obviously got quite a few free-to-play units on the team. My leader, like I said, is the Goku and Frieza. They have attack and defense of 77%. They gain another attack and defense of 77% when performing a super attack. They also get another additional 77% attack when the unit is an attack down, defense down, etc. It's going to help us out in the beginning, but it's not going to help us out too much near the end, because obviously, like I said, the unit cannot be, Goku can't be sealed or attack lowered or defense lowered, etc. So, yeah. In terms of super attack, they raise their defense, so that does help. They'll be defensively fine throughout the whole event. We're just going to push them onto the floating position, because it's generally the best position for them on this team. Then if we take a look at the Vegeta, Vegeta is going to be great. So Vegeta has attack and defense of 150%. He reduces damage received by 10%. He also gets an additional damage reduction of 10% with each attack he receives, so he can have 40% damage reduction, which is quite a bit. He also gains 5 ki with each attack he performs. He's got a medium chance of an additional attack, and he also has his active skill and the revive skills. The revive skills are going to be something that can help us if we get into a tight spot, so I don't want to discount them. It's very good that he has them. He also has a high chance of performing a critical with every single attack that he does. So with Vegeta, obviously the big benefit is that damage reduction, especially when you have a rainbow unit or a friend that's got dupes. His defense will be quite high, so he'll be able to take the hits, and then he'll be able to obviously build up his damage reduction, and he should be a very good tank for us. It's also very important to take note that the final phase is against a tech full power Goku, so even if Vegeta doesn't crit, he'll still be doing a decent amount of damage. So for me, it's still pretty good. We also have his active skill. Even though it's more an AoE orientated skill, it's still a pretty good one to have. and it's a nice little one to utilize. We're going to be running him on an off rotation, not really like super apparent, but he'll be coming into the rotation full time from around the second to last stage. Just going to be the best time for him. Until then, we need to build up some of the other units. We then have Tien and Master Roshi, pretty good units. They gain 20% attack and defense with every attack received, so that goes up to a max of 70%. They also have attack and defense of 70%, and they give all reps of Universe 7 category allies a buff. They share a decent amount of links with the Krillin and Android 18, which we'll talk about now. But the Krillin and Android 18, they both share experienced fighters. They both share Cold Judgment, which is very important. They both share solid support, Tournament of Power, and Shattering the Limit. So it's quite a good amount of links, giving them a good amount of defense. Between Tournament of Power and Shattering the Limit and Cold Judgment, that's like a whole range of defense, like almost 30% if you've got them a little bit link leveled. Experienced fighters, a nice amount of attack, and so is solid support. So the Krillin and Android 18, they constantly greatly raise their attack. They're also an Int type, so once we get past the physical phases, they are going to be pretty good, especially for the final phase, because they'll be doing some really nice damage to the Goku at that point. They change physical key spheres to Int key spheres. They launch an additional super attack with 5 or more Int key spheres obtained, and they have attack and defense of 30% each attack performed, up to a total of 180%. So they do start out a little bit slow, but they can get up to really good defense, especially when paired with Master Roshi and Krillin. They can get up to like 180k or something, which is more than enough. Also, they, like I said, keep stacking their attacks, so they're going to be a very good source of damage near the end of the event against that Tech Goku. And of course, also just, they create Int orbs, which even if we don't utilize it for them, we will be utilizing for the Int UI Goku, who will be stacking his defense. So the interesting thing there is, obviously, he can also heal us up, so it's going to be a nice source of healing as well. So pretty cool. While we're talking about Int Goku, he's going to be the one we talk about next. Obviously, this is the Easy Aid Kit Goku. So this one raises his attack and defense permanently. He has attack and defense of 150%, and he will awaken when he's 50% health or less. When he's 50% health or less, basically he has attack of 200%, defense of 100%, so we lose 50% at defense, but we do continue to stack. He also gets Ki +3, and he has a great chance of evading enemies' attacks, which is 50%, I believe. Yeah, I think it's 50. Yeah, no, it's 70% chance to evade attacks. So very powerful unit. He disables enemy's guard as well, which allows the rest of the units for the rotation to do type neutral damage. And he has guaranteed evasion for 1 turn after awakening, which is quite helpful. He's going to be paired up with the UI Goku, the free-to-play one. So this Goku, the UI Goku, they won't link at first in the beginning, but it's not really too much of an issue. You can just keep them together. The support from the UI Goku essentially guarantees that they're going to have enough Ki to function. And as you can see here, I'm just running them together. It is just something. Once Int Goku obviously transforms, you will have, like he is now, you will have them link up, and we'll talk about that just now. But physical Goku, very similar, raises attack and defense permanently, gives a buff to all Universal Survival Saga category allies, and also has attack and defense of 120% and has a 50% chance of evasion. So a very good unit. Him and the Int UI Goku, they share Prepared for Battle, they share Kamehameha, they share Godly Power as well, they share Tournament of Power, they share the First Awakened, and it's pretty nice overall. It's pretty solid link set, very good. Very nice combo to run. Obviously the support as well is really awesome for that Goku, and you can see we're hitting some really nice attack stats between the two of them. So both of those really not too much of an issue for us. And then the final unit that we need to touch on is the Shattering the Limit of Spirit and Tenacity, Master Roshi. So Master Roshi, Pretty good unit. It's got defense of 100%, medium chance of evading enemies' attacks. He also has Turtle School category allies, gives them a buff. If his HP is 50% or less from the start of turn, we've got his active skill as well, and he will revive. So we've got his revive skill. We've got, he does some pretty decent damage when he gets his ultra super attack. The big issue with Master Roshi is essentially just that his evasion is going to drop off eventually. He's not going to have that evasion, and of course he's probably, out of all the units, got the lowest in inverted commas defense, but it's still very, he'll be more than fine. We just need to do smart decisions. As long as we do smart decisions, we won't really struggle too much. So for me, pretty happy with this team. I think this team did very, very well. Honestly, didn't really have any issues at all. So I was quite happy with the overall performance. It was a good time as well. It didn't take very long. I did it all in one sitting, which is why I have the unedited footage here. Basically, this strength grade 8 is generally where people struggle quite a bit. Our team did fine. The main issue, or the main reason being, at this point, the evasion is still a factor. So you can still evade the strength grade 8, which is a very important thing. If we couldn't evade him, I would be a lot more concerned, but both of our physical units have evasion. The rest would take quite a bit of damage, of course, but we managed to handle it quite quickly. Then in terms of this end phase, obviously this Goku now, he has a chance to evade. Can be a little bit irritating, but also it's not entirely the end of the world. You just need to not get too concerned. Sometimes RNG happens, but it's not really something you can doubt or concern yourself with. You just need to focus on getting done what you can. Obviously, we do have the nice advantage, so we're getting crits from the Int Vegeta, which is obviously very, very helpful. We're getting the physical type damage from the physical UI Goku and from the Master Roshi as well. And as you can see, Krillin and 18 are starting to hit very, very hard, and they're going to help us a lot in the tech phase. They're going to really, really help us in terms of damage, and it's an important reason as to why we brought them along. In terms of other units you could use here, you could use, like I said, Android 17 is a pretty useful unit. You could use the Frieza and Android 17 unit. If you've got a couple dupes, you could use the Ultimate Gohan and Piccolo. You could use the Ultimate Gohan and Frieza. All very, very viable units. I think Strength Blue Goku, Strength SSB Goku, the Spirit Bomb Goku, I wouldn't bring him. I think he falls off too quickly. The LR Strength UI Goku is fantastic. The only issue with Strength UI Goku and AGL Goku is unfortunately that at the end phase, so against the Tech Full Power Goku, he does disable evasion. Now they have a really good defense without the evasion, but especially on the AGL UI Goku side, without the ability to evade, he is going to struggle quite a bit, especially since he has type disadvantage. Now if you utilize items, so for example in my situation, if you use a Whis or items like that you brought along, then obviously you might have better luck, and that's okay, and that's perfectly fine. But like I say, it is just something to be aware of, that you can bring those two, but they will struggle a little bit more at the end rather than comparatively to other units. Beyond that, beyond those units, the LR physical blue boys are pretty good. Just depends on how many dupes you're going to have in them. Again, it's just one of those things. Could be very, very good, could not be very, very good. So it's just going to depend on dupes. For me, at 55%, they don't bring enough to the party, and I would rather go with something else, just from my perspective. I think overall, those are probably the best options. You could definitely bring the AGL SSBE Vegeta, but he's going to have a very, very low cap. And again, against a tech final boss or a tech final phase, it just doesn't inspire me with rapid confidence. Fortunately, a lot of these units are free to play. So Android 18 and Krillin, free to play. Master Roshi LR, free to play. Master Roshi and Tien, free to play. Physical UI Goku, free to play as well. So all of those are pretty decent, pretty nice options. You could bring physical 17, physical Android 17 might be decent. And AGL Krillin might also be okay, but again, kind of isn't, because, once more, he's an AGL unit and the final phase is tech. So you do just need to be fully aware of all of these things, because you can end up shooting yourself in the foot a little bit by, trying to factor or favor certain units. So just keep that in mind. The final phase being tech puts a bit of a damper on some of the Universe 7 options. Not to say that you can't use them, you can just use them with items, but you just need to understand the mechanics and hopefully get the correct amounts of RNG, because that'll help you as well. So yeah, obviously we're now at the final phase. At this point, we're pretty comfortable, not like super comfortable like we can't die, but we are pretty okay in terms of just our control of our situation. We have items, the team is pretty set up. Like I said, generally speaking, we're going to use the Android 18 and Krillin. They're going to do a decent whack of damage, which is going to help out. Vegeta is going to move onto rotation permanently to source big boy damage. UI Goku is stacked up at this point. The physical Goku is also there as well. We're pretty much just going to do the best job we can in terms of doing damage to this Goku. We've got quite a few int units. We don't have any type disadvantage as well, which does help. We don't have to be too concerned about where units fall in the lineup, and that we just need to obviously prioritize damage, links, and we do want to avoid having units like Master Roshi or Master Roshi and Tien, for example, from tanking like a large amount of attacks. Like if we can avoid that, that's a very good situation for us, obviously, and something we do want to just avoid and be cognitive of. We do want to take cognizance of that fact, and we don't want to lose time or lose health unnecessarily, I should say. It won't end very well, and so I'd rather just focus on something else. But yeah, I think overall, pretty fun, pretty good stage. I'm not a fan of these long events. If a lot of people like them, I don't really like them too much. Eventually most teams for normal players just amounts to very slow, very grindy kind of we're gonna stack on super and constantly stack, or units that have guard or units that have damage reduction generally are the way to go. And it's a more defense first kind of mindset. You can definitely do them offensive orientated, you can focus on damage, and in doing so you can obviously try and secure a good amount of damage, and you can try and finish it as quickly as possible, which a lot of people do, and I'm not saying you cannot, but for me it is just kind of a little bit questionable. There's a little bit the game's beaten by a certain set of mechanics, and so any unit that doesn't fall under that set of mechanics, generally speaking, kind of just falls away or isn't that great. It's not to say that there aren't options that aren't those, but for me it's just not as exciting or as fun as other game modes. But that's for everyone. Everyone gets to make their own decision, everyone can have their own opinion. It's really not too much of an issue. If you really like this game mode, that's awesome and you can enjoy it. If you don't like it like me, then I understand where you're coming from. It's not that I hate the game mode. There are times where it can be quite fun when the categories are quite good, but I do feel like sometimes they, purposefully choose, obviously I mean they do it with every game mode, but they purposely try to choose categories that either A, don't have the right build up, so you need to have dupes, which obviously entices you to summon, or they generally just choose categories that aren't really well catered to. Like Corroded Body and Mind is one of those, where it's just a very hodgepodge category that they haven't really done anything to facilitate at all since giving it a lead. Like they need to give it some kind of support. It doesn't have to be a stacking support, but just give it a little bit of love, and I think that'll make it definitely a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable. But yeah, as you can see, we're not really struggling too much. We're going to finish off Goku pretty shortly. The Int UI Goku is just doing some really huge damage, which always helps out, and obviously will help us finish things off. So yeah, like I said, pretty fun game mode. If you're into obviously building your team, watching it stack and get some cool attack stats. I mean, like Goku hitting 5.5 million, physical UI Goku hitting 3 million, Android 18 and Krillin hitting 4s and 5 millions. Like, it is very exciting, like it's a very fun to see, I guess. But yeah, for me, this was a pretty cool run. You can pretty much do it if you just have one of the reps of Universe 7's lead, and you pretty much will be fine. So yeah, if you haven't done it, you can do it. It's definitely viable. A lot of these are free-to-play units, and yeah, it's just a pretty cool run. But that's going to be it for me, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like on the video and I'll try and get back to you. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. So until then, take care. Stay safe, and as always, I will see you in the next video. So, bye.